It was late October when I took that drive. I was heading from St. Louis to Kansas City. 5 hours alone, nothing but flat land and silence between. My car wasn't great on gas, so I tried to time every stop carefully. I left after work, thinking I'd reach before midnight, but around 10 p.m., my GPS froze. I missed a turn and ended up on Route 46, a 2-lane road that stretched endlessly into nothing. At first, it was fine. Empty highways calmed me, but after about 20 minutes, I saw headlights behind me. A truck. No big deal, until it kept a perfect distance, never passing, never falling back. Every time I slowed down, it slowed down. Every time I sped up, it matched me. The highway had no lights, just the glow of my taillights bouncing off the dark gravel. I started to get that pressure in my chest, the one that tells you something's off. When I finally saw a gas station sign ahead, it felt like a lifeline. Open 24 hours. I pulled in fast. The truck followed, parking 2 spots over. Inside, the place was empty except for an old man behind the counter. I grabbed a coffee just to look busy, then glanced outside. The truck was still running. I couldn't see the driver clearly, just a shape through the windshield. I told the cashier, "Hey, that guy's been following me for miles." He didn't look surprised. He just sighed, like he'd heard it before. He said, "Lock the door when you go to the restroom." That threw me off. When I came back out, the old man had stepped outside. He was talking to the driver. Couldn't hear what they said, but the way the man pointed toward me made my stomach twist. Then, suddenly, the truck's headlights shut off. Total darkness outside the glass. The old man came back in and said quietly, "You should take the back road behind the lot. It reconnects to the main highway faster." But something in his tone felt wrong, too rehearsed, too calm. I didn't take the back road. I got in my car, locked the doors, and waited. 10 minutes. 20. Nothing. Then I saw movement in my rearview mirror, two silhouettes by the edge of the gas station lights. The truck driver and the old man, watching, waiting. When I finally started my engine, both turned toward me at the same time. I drove all night, heart pounding, never once stopping again. The next morning, I checked the route. There was no back road behind that gas station, only a stretch of old farmland, fenced off for years.
Last spring, I rented a small basement apartment. It wasn't much. Just a studio with creaky floors and a single window that faced the alley. The rent was cheap, which should have been my first warning sign. My landlord, Mike, lived upstairs. He was friendly at first. Mid-50s, divorced, always offering to help with repairs. He'd knock once a week just to chat, which I thought was harmless. But after a while, he started showing up more often. He'd make excuses, just checking the water pressure. Or, "You left your porch light on." Except I didn't have a porch light. Then one night around midnight, I heard movement above me. Footsteps, slow and deliberate. Not unusual since he lived upstairs. But then I heard the door at the top of my basement stairs creak open. He never did that before. I froze in bed, holding my breath. The light from the hall spilled halfway down the staircase, and for a moment, I saw a shadow move past the frame. Then silence. I waited, counting the seconds in my head, trying to convince myself it was just him checking something. But the next morning, when I went upstairs to leave for work, I saw the chain lock on my door, unlatched. I always locked it, always. The next day, I asked him directly, "Hey, Mike, did you come downstairs last night?" He smiled like I just asked something stupid. Of course not. Why would I? That night, I pushed a chair against the basement door before bed. Not because I thought it would stop him, just so I'd hear it move if he tried. Around 2:17 a.m., I woke to the sound of wood scraping. The chair was sliding. I didn't breathe, didn't move. I grabbed my phone and called 911, whispering that someone was trying to get into my place. The dispatcher told me to stay on the line. Then, through the dark, I heard a whisper, right on the other side of the door. "Why'd you lock it, sweetheart?" It was him. The cops came fast, maybe 5 minutes tops. They caught him halfway up the stairs, drunk, holding a spare key. He told them I'd given him permission to check a leak. I hadn't. When they searched his place, they found photos of my apartment inside, taken from angles only someone who'd been there would know. I moved out that week. 2 months later, I checked the rental site. The basement was listed again. Same photos, Same price, but under landlord, the name was different. Michael's son. During college, I worked the night shift at a small campground in northern Wisconsin. My job was simple: monitor late check-ins, make rounds, and keep the office open until sunrise. It was usually peaceful, quiet, until one weekend in July. We were fully booked because of a local festival, and most campers were families or older couples. Around 11:45 p.m., a man came in wearing a dark hoodie and carrying nothing but a small duffel bag. No car, no ID, just cash. He said his name was Aaron. He asked for the most isolated site we had. I told him those were reserved, and he just stared at me, unblinking, like he didn't understand the word reserved. Finally, I offered him a regular campsite by the tree line. He took it without a word, paid in crumpled bills, and left walking. No flashlight, no gear, no sound of gravel under his shoes. About an hour later, while doing rounds, I noticed his site had no tent, no sleeping bag, just that same duffel bag, sitting next to the extinguished fire pit. I figured maybe he'd wandered off or was planning to sleep in his car, but he didn't have one. I called out, "Hey, you good?" But there was no response. Then, from the woods behind his lot, came the crunch of leaves. Heavy, deliberate footsteps. I shined my flashlight toward the sound. Nothing but trees. The steps stopped when the light hit. I went back to the office and wrote it up in the incident log, like I was supposed to. My boss, Carl, was asleep in the staff cabin, and I didn't want to wake him over something vague. At 2:13 a.m., motion sensors tripped near the showers. I checked the monitor, just empty hallways, the lights flickering. Then, a shape crossed the corner of the frame. Tall, hooded, walking slow. It wasn't one of the guests. Everyone else was accounted for. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped outside. The path to the showers cut through thick trees, and I could feel the cold air shift, like the forest was holding its breath. Then I saw him, standing by the showers, hood still up, duffel bag on the ground. He wasn't moving. I asked, "Sir, you okay?" He tilted his head, like he was trying to listen to something behind me. Then he whispered, "You're not the one I came for." I froze. Before I could say anything, he picked up the bag and walked into the trees. The next morning, Carl called the sheriff. They searched the area and found nothing. No footprints, no duffel, no sign anyone had been there. But 2 days later, we got a call from a campsite 12 miles away. A couple had woken up to find a man standing over their tent, whispering through the fabric, "You're not the ones either."